Barbara Tender last saw her daughter sitting on the couch watching TV as she left the house for her overnight shift. She had no way of knowing that this would be the last time she saw her daughter. This is the case of Samantha Clark. Before we begin today's case, I would like to remind everyone of the usual stuff. You can find a case suggestion link in the description box down below, as well as important information like contact info and case IDs related to today's case. My sources for each case are always pinned to the top of the comments section below the videos as well. I would also like to take a moment to tell you all how incredibly thankful I am for you guys. As many of you may know, if you are subscribed to the channel, the last couple of weeks have been hard. Our cat got sick, and though we were able to buy him a little more time with us, he ultimately passed. I updated my subscribers on this through the community post system here on YouTube, and the responses that you guys have given have been incredible. I wanted to make sure that I let you all know that I appreciate your kind words more than I can truly describe right now. Our cat was my and my husband's best friend. He meant the world to us, and it's hard for him to be gone. We miss him dearly, and your guys' kindness and the kindness we've experienced from friends and family has been amazing. So truly, so much thank you. And now on to today's case. Samantha and her mother had come a long way since the time when Samantha was only 3 years old. It was around that age that her mother, Barbara Tender, had become homeless. Because of this, Samantha could no longer be with her. Some reports suggest that at this point, Samantha had gone to live with her father. Even with these difficulties, however, Samantha and Barbara would visit each other every other Saturday until Samantha was about 13 years old. This is when Samantha had asked to move back in with her mother, who had long since worked her way out of homelessness and had another child. Soon enough, Samantha had moved into Barbara's home and spent the rest of her life as we know it in that home with her mother and brother. It was the night of September 13th, 2010 when Barbara was leaving the house for her overnight shift. As she made her way to the front door, Samantha was visible on the couch wearing her pajamas and watching TV. Barbara's son Hunter, who was 12 at this time, was up in his room. During her shift, Barbara missed a call from her home phone around 12:30 a.m., now the morning of September 14th. At her 1:30 a.m. break, Barbara called her home phone and Hunter answered. It was on this call that Hunter told his mother that Samantha had left the house. According to him, Samantha had simply yelled up the stairs that she was leaving and then she was gone. She never once said where she was going or who she would be with. When Barbara returned home after her shift around 7:05, Samantha's pajamas had been on her bed, indicating that Samantha had indeed changed back out of them before leaving the house. However, the rest of Samantha's belongings were still in the home. The only thing missing besides Samantha herself was a house key. Now, though it was strange for Samantha to have left the house at night, Barbara was sure that her daughter would come back home later that day. At this point, Barbara drove Hunter to school and then returned home to sleep. When Barbara woke up that afternoon, Samantha hadn't returned. According to Barbara, Samantha didn't leave the house on her own after dark. It was very strange that she would have left in the middle of the night. Samantha didn't have a cell phone or a driver's license, and there wasn't much in the way of public transportation in their area. So where she would have gone and how she would have gotten there, that was a mystery. There had only been one time before when Samantha had left home and not come back, but on that occasion she had been staying in a nearby town and still called her mother daily. When Barbara woke up and Samantha was still gone, she went to the police station to report her daughter as missing. When she tried to file a missing persons report, she was told that she had to wait 48 hours because Samantha was an adult. However, the Orange Police Department Chief James Fenwick would later tell the media that Barbara had gone to the wrong station and had been given misinformation. He claimed that when Barbara came to Orange Police Department on September 15th, they immediately took on the case and have been working it since. Now, during that first day when Barbara had unsuccessfully tried to report her daughter missing, she and her sister drove around town looking for Samantha. They couldn't find any sign of her, but they were able to determine that her friends hadn't seen or heard from her either. When police did begin their investigation, however, they started by looking into some new friends that Samantha had made just a week prior to her disappearance. Now, Samantha and her mother had gone to a football game together, and afterwards, they stopped stopped at a restaurant called Northside. It was here that Samantha began talking to two men in their 20s. It seems that Samantha had known one of the men, but had not previously met the other. Samantha decided to stay behind and continue talking to the two men and was given a ride home later that night. Before leaving, she took down the phone number of the man that she hadn't known before. His name was Randy Taylor. Now, police quickly honed in on Taylor because the phone records showed that he had called Samantha's home 5 or 6 times that night. He was the last person known to have spoken to Samantha. Years later, Chief Fenwick would tell the media that Taylor had been a suspect in the case since day one. Now, according to Barbara, at one point, Taylor even admitted that he was likely the last person to have seen Samantha. Unfortunately for Samantha and her family, no further clues were ever discovered, and though the case remains open, Samantha remains missing. Then, 3 years later, a turn of events brought the spotlight back onto Taylor. This time, however, it was for the disappearance of another girl. On August 3rd, 2013, Alexis Murphy, who was 17 years old, had gone missing from nearby Lovingston, Virginia. It was that evening of August 3rd that Alexis had left for Lynchburg, Virginia for a hair appointment. She had been excited to get her hair done before her senior portraits, and on that day, there were multiple tweets from Alexis's Twitter account. One of them read "Bergbound" as she headed out for her hair appointment at 4:04 p.m., and her final tweet came around 4:40 p.m., assumably just before her appointment began. It wasn't until later that night, around 7:15 p.m., that Alexis was seen on surveillance footage at a gas station in Livingston, Virginia. It was just after the sighting on the surveillance footage that Alexis went missing. When Alexis didn't return home that night, she was reported missing by her family. Within 2 days, the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, the Virginia State Police, and the FBI had joined the investigation into her disappearance, and it didn't take long before they had a suspect in sight. The investigation revealed that Randy Taylor had been at the gas station at the same time as Alexis and even held a door open for her as she walked in. It was then discovered that Alexis's final cell phone pings came from an area where Taylor lived in a camper located off US 29 near Livingston, Virginia. Taylor was first questioned on August 5th, and he claimed that he had been elsewhere that day and that the surveillance footage must have been incorrectly dated. The next day, Alexis's car, a white 2003 Nissan Maxima, was discovered in a Carmike movie theater parking lot in Charlottesville. Now, according to CCTV footage, the car appeared in the lot around 10 p.m. on August 4th, the night after Alexis had gone missing. The footage was too dark to distinguish who had driven the car, but multiple people claimed to have seen Taylor at a nearby Applebee's, possibly looking for a ride home. So, soon enough, investigators were searching Taylor's camper. This is when they discovered the shirt Taylor had been wearing in the surveillance footage at the gas station. It had been stuffed under the couch and was covered in bloodstains. Wrapped inside the shirt were long, dark hair extensions and fake eyelashes. Taylor was again questioned at this point, and he elected to change his story. Now Taylor was claiming that he had just met Alexis that night at the gas station and that he invited her to his camper to smoke pot. Taylor told investigators that Alexis had shown up accompanied by a black male friend who was introduced as Damian Bradley. It was around 9 p.m. that night that Alexis and Damian left the camper in separate vehicles in this new story. On August 11th of 2013, Taylor was arrested and charged with abducting Alexis Murphy. DNA testing on the bloodstained shirt found in the camper later revealed that the blood did belong to Alexis. Taylor was found guilty of first-degree murder in the commission of an abduction as well as abduction with the intent to defile. Currently, he is serving 2 life sentences at the Red Onion State Prison in Pound, Virginia. Investigators hadn't forgotten about Samantha Clark, however. In the fall of 2014, just months after Taylor's sentencing, a 200-acre area of land owned by a hunt club that Taylor had a connection to was searched for traces of either Samantha or Alexis. Neither body was found. Taylor has still not been charged in Samantha's case, for which I assume is likely just a lack of evidence. Now, the officer who had originally been investigating Samantha's case did retire in 2015, but then he came back to the department part-time with the sole purpose of working on Samantha's case. Investigators do believe that foul play was involved in her disappearance. Now, Samantha has been described as sweet, pleasant, and polite by guidance counselors from her former high school. She has been described as a good student and a good person by a former principal. And Barbara has said that her daughter loved algebra and cooking, and she found PE to be fun. She mostly enjoyed baking baked goods. And throughout the years, she says that Samantha had multiple kinds of pets, including rats, hamsters, gerbils, dogs, and cats. She was an animal lover. Now, while Samantha was in school, she would also do yard work to earn spending money. But about 7 years after Samantha's disappearance, the apartment complex where Barbara and her children had lived went into remodeling. Barbara was forced to move, and though she has stated that without the forced move, she would have preferred to stay in that same spot where she had lived at the time that Samantha had disappeared. Barbara finds it very upsetting that if Samantha is still alive, she doesn't know her mother's current phone number or know where to find her. Now, after Barbara's sister passed away, she has stated that she feels as though she has no one left to lean on. Now, Samantha is 5 feet 1 inch and weighs about 145 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. She has a Playboy bunny tattoo on her right arm, a tiger tattoo on her right ankle, the word lucky tattooed on her left ankle, and a 2 dolphin tattoo on her lower back. She has piercings in her right eyebrow, right nostril, and her tongue, in addition to multiple ear piercings, including a bar-type piercing in her right ear. Samantha has long hair that she often wears in a bun, she wears glasses, and her tonsils have been removed. Now, if you have any information related to Samantha's disappearance, I would urge you to contact the Orange Police Department at 540-672-1491. So what are your thoughts on today's case? There doesn't seem to have ever been any other suspect in Samantha's case, and the circumstances of Taylor's conviction in Alexis Murphy's case really makes me personally believe that he could have been involved in whatever happened to Samantha. I have been able to find her old Facebook page, and there doesn't seem to be any indication that she was looking to leave town. Let me know what your thoughts are on this case, though, in the comment section down below. And a huge thank you to Mimi for having suggested this case to me in the first place. I hadn't heard of Samantha or Alexis's cases prior to the suggestion, so I'm happy that I was able to cover them for you. Don't forget that you guys can help too to keep these cases in the public eye by sharing this video, someone else's, or any of the sources I've pinned in the comment section. The littlest act could encourage someone with information to come forward and help close a case. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all again soon for another case.